What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Properties and Pour-Overs podcast. My name is Adam Colburn, and today I have a very special guest, my friend Jada Moses. What's going on, Jada?
Not much.
Good to see you.
Yay.
Thanks for coming in and sharing some time with me. Just to get started, to introduce yourself to our listeners, can you tell me where you're located in the country and what your business looks like currently?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I own a mobile coffee cart here in Charlotte.
Awesome, very cool. Um, so, coffee cart. That's like an interesting model. Where
Yeah.
what how did that come about? Like, have you always been interested in coffee or like had past experience in the coffee industry? Like, tell me about that. How did that get started?
I wish I had coffee experience in the industry. So, right in college, I was an engineer studying mechanical engineering here at
Okay.
UNCC. And, late nights, early mornings, doing 16 plus credit hours a semester, you got to
Hmm.
feel about something, and it's not sleep.
Sure.
So, so coffee was what got me through engineering school. It was always a constant thread. At the time, I was unfortunately stuck on some Starbucks, but it was, the beans are the beans at that point.
Sure. Yeah,
You
whatever you can get
survive it
in.
at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So like I was deep into just Starbucks and drinking it a lot and like obviously super sugary drinks. And then post college, I got married and once we was like, well, maybe I'll start my own little coffee setup because at this point I've advanced past Starbucks and into our like local coffee shop. So like
Sure.
the hobbyists and like not just coffee and undercurrent and there was always a new coffee shop popping up.
Yeah.
So I invested into like supporting local coffee shops
Sure.
instead of going to Starbucks. And even so much that when I traveled, I always went to I looked up local coffee shops. So I got really invested. And then throughout the pandemic, you couldn't go to coffee shops. So
Right.
I was secluded at home. And I was like, babe, my husband. I was like, this is a really good time for me to like upgrade my stuff and like get better at it. So I
Yeah.
started out with the Delani like semi-automatic espresso machine at home where like it's automated enough that it pressurizes the shot for you, but you literally have to stop it or just keep running.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, babe, we need to like level up from this. So during the pandemic, we decided to have our first kid. As a push gift, my husband upgraded me to the Bravelli. And I was like, hey, like now I got like some
Nice.
type of programming happening. So this is lit. And a way better steam bond. So I just like really got into like making it at home for a while. And I was like, I would love to have the experience of being in a coffee shop, but at this time, I'm married, I got a kid, full-time engineer, and it doesn't look like I shot my shot, right? I told my husband, like, how about like I start a mobile coffee cart and in 2 years I like just drop my job and like do it full time. And he's like, whoa, whoa. Like we cannot go on two engineer salaries down to like one engineer salary and hope to God that they like progress and profit. So I was
Right.
like, all right, cool. All right, I'll pace myself. So I started with the cart, and the cart just gave me the flexibility to use the networking that I've built through like just visiting a lot of local coffee shops. I'm a
Mhm.
pretty inquisitive person, so I was able to ask questions, but in order to like really immerse myself in learning other coffee shops journey as far as like the ownership and like where they started in coffee, how they started their business and like where they want to grow. I did like a mini YouTube series under open view called Exchanging Perspectives, the exchange pretty much. And it's kind of the same cadence for my business model for when I do specific pop-up events. It's basically like I sat down with coffee shop owners and just asked them like, what was your start? How'd you get into coffee? How did we get to where we are now with like your shop? And I did 3 episodes with Union Coffee, Not Just Coffee, and Undercurrent. So Night Swim technically is the umbrella, and Black and White in Raleigh. Those are my 3 coffee shop owners that I've interviewed. And then
Yeah.
after that, like I was like, man, I really could do this, right? Like I am very passionate about people. I love the conversation that comes up around coffee. So knowing that I was never going to be able to make it into the coffee industry, like doing it full time or even part time, like being a wife and a mom and a full time engineer is enough to keep you busy. So like
For sure.
taking a part time job to work at a coffee shop was like not realistic.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'll do the cart. That way I can do it like on my own terms and like meet the people that I want to meet and like create the environments that I want to create
Yeah.
outside of my own home, but like, it transport myself and immerse myself in someone else's community. So that's how the mobile cart like got started, was just wanting to do my own thing within coffee with people and sharing that experience with people,
Hmm.
but getting paid to do it, obviously. So yeah, it's been great so far. As of like the beginning of this year, operationally, it's been open for a year.
Okay.
So I'm working into my year two. I can confidently say I'm not going to open up my shop in year two. So like my dreams before, I'm glad my husband told me to pace myself and do a cart first, because
Sure.
it was in a reasonable and a lot of learning experience that came with it.
Totally. Yeah. No, it's really cool. And I think it's a really unique like stepping stone into the space because it's absolutely like a passion project for you, I can tell, right? Like you want to be in the space, but you don't really need it to be like your day to day because you have a very
Right.
strong W-2 as an engineer, but it's like I just love
Yeah, exactly.
coffee. I love being
Yeah.
around these people and creating these
Yeah.
experiences. So how can I get in this space with a lower barrier of entry?
Yep.
Rather than just starting the shop and then letting other people run it because I don't have the time to. Maybe
Yep.
I can do this on the weekends. I can go to little pop up events or whatever,
Yeah.
do that networking event. Like I think that's awesome, and I think that
Yeah.
it's much more attainable for somebody that wants to get into coffee, whether it is like a career path for them where they want to eventually get to a shop or start roasting their own beans or something like that. But
Yeah.
then you get the sense of like business ownership, like kind of on the fly, right? Like it's I can
Yeah,
work when I want to
no,
work.
it
Yeah,
truthfully is on the fly.
yeah,
Literally on the fly. Because like I guess like even thinking about how often you can like bust out a drink like in like the time frame, like when you have been in the environment of coffee industry, like you know what that hustle and bustle looks like for an hour on a busy day. I
sure,
have no idea what that looks like because at home I'm making it for myself and then
right,
like at most five other people if I have like other people at my
yeah,
house. Can
totally,
be like a brunch or something. How often do you
hmm,
have like five other people at brunch? So like
right,
it definitely is like getting that real world application and not even in a pressured situation with slight control, right? Like I
hmm,
can control what day I want to do it, what time frames I want to do it. But slight pressure, like unpredictability at pop-ups. You never know how good it's gonna be. You never know how dull it's gonna be. So
right.
it has a great balance of like fast paced learning.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, obviously you're pretty like well known building relationships within the local shops there in Charlotte. But like how did the process go about getting yourself out there and saying like, "Hey, I've got my own cart. Can I come and run it up at your shop or your pop-up event or wherever you guys are posting up at?" Like how did that work about going and finding space to kind of market yourself
Put
to
yourself
the
out there.
public? Yeah.
So, I'm a pretty friendly person. Like my husband says, I never met a stranger, and like I birthed a child that does the same. So I can tell what it's like to be me, because
Sure.
he's just like me. But I never met a stranger, so it's easy for me to like talk about things that I'm passionate about, and it's also easy for me just to like connect. So, one of the places that I do my exchange events, which goes but within like our slogan, exchanging perspectives to open your view. That's kind of how open view is. It's basically to like open your view on like life by
Love it.
learning somebody else, like exchanging that perspective with them.
Yeah.
There's a apartment complex here in Charlotte called Link Mumford, and they love the concept of like the exchange. Like they're like, oh, that's great. Like our community can like learn other residents, and like most of the time I have when I do those exchange events, I have like a set of questions at different tables, and typically it's they just come get a cup of coffee. They say they want to stay for like the conversation portion, they'll get a name tag, and I sit them at a random group of tables. Like every table is like numbered, and like at the bottom of your name tag has like a different number, and like you're forced to have conversations with random people about like I guess what was like what was the happiest thing that happened to you today? Like you could have been like this coffee, duh. But like you could it starts a different conversation with
Yeah.
other people. So Link Mumford, I kind of just like wung it. I did like a pop-up with them without doing exchange events just to see like the grab of people that was interested in coffee, and
Hmm.
they did a survey like mid-year of like, hey, what's your favorite event that we've held? And a lot of people said like we're like within the top three of like events they had. I think yoga topped me, but it's fine. Um, so- but they were like, yeah, we love it. So like come back and like let's see what other ways we can incorporate you. And we started doing the exchange events, and they typically do like pastries, or like they did like a waffle brunch with them on the side. So it was like coffee and food and conversation. So it was like kind of like giving my mini like coffee shop vibes
Yeah.
without like the crazy hours, and like with a very populated group of people. And luckily they also opened that up to people. So it's not just the residents. So it was nice.
Gotcha.
So like, showcase that as like anybody to come. And then word of mouth. Honestly, I've loved the coffee community for their lack of gatekeeping. Like any person that I've talked to has been willing to like share advice, share tidbits, refer. Like for within Charlotte, there's a lot of mobile coffee carts. So when one of my wholesale partners for my beans is Night Swim, and the wholesale director had referred me to another coffee cart that was in Charlotte that also used their beans. Because I was like, I don't know what I need for like my cart, or like what I might be missing. Like, I really wish I had like real world, situations to be able to
Sure.
use. And he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Chino Coffee here ran by Carly, like maybe I'll connect you with her. So I connected with her, and then she actually let me help her on one of her events. So I was able to like be behind her bar and like see what she had and what I might need, or what I want to add, or what I would change in her bar setup. So that was really nice that she offered me the opportunity to be a part of it. And then from that, like any events that she couldn't do, because I was starting out that first year, she would to do them. And then I would do like swim meets and stuff like that, and like different other, like I did a 3-day market with a event coordinator here. So it was like word of mouth, and not and just like networking, truthfully,
Sure.
just reaching out to different coffee shop owners and saying like, hey, what are you guys doing differently, or mobile coffee cart owners specifically, like what are you doing to advertise yourself better?
Yeah.
And then I anybody that knew they were having a brunch situation or like a coffee and conversation, they referred me. So like Charlotte Urban Design Center, I've done 3 of their coffee and conversation events, and that was just word of mouth. Somebody mentioned me, they reached out, and it's been a flourishing relationship since. They do one twice a year, and I did the past one in February, and I've done 2 before then. So it's been nice just working through that. And then now since I've gone through the first year of like getting my name out there and just taking any opportunity that's come my way,
Hmm.
learning the balance now of like, okay, you know what it's like to be overwhelmed and have way too many events and like not have enough time for like life.
Yeah.
um to like, okay, what is your new business model? And I think before I was definitely like just trying to get my name out there, and it's proven to be fruitful. As far as like I do know more people that are coffee enthusiasts, or like home baristas that's local or like outside of like Charlotte, because a lot of my family lives in Raleigh, so like I'm pretty connected to people in Raleigh in the coffee industry.
Sure.
So it's been fruitful in that way. But as far as like balancing of time, I think now this year my goal is getting more private events.
Okay.
And the way to doing that has been through Valor Podcast. They actually, I know my friend I told her the other day that I listen to coffee podcasts, and she was like, "Whoa, I didn't even know those existed." I was like, "Yeah, we just love." It's just if you can't drink it, you're listening to it. That's the best
Sure.
way to do that.
Right.
But Valor Podcast, they're in Georgia. They do a really good job of like touching on different industries within coffee. They started as a mobile cart, so a lot of their advice or like episodes are about mobile carts.
Okay.
And in the transition of like end of last year to this year, and trying to figure out what my new business model was, if I wasn't going to do a bunch of pop-ups, like how I'm going to get more private events. They actually
Hmm.
did a whole series, like a whole episode about like what you should do to like get more private events. And
Nice.
it was search engine optimization.
Okay.
So they had a vendor called Localize that does a review of that content and gives you either the option for them to revamp your website, or you to do SEO capable enhancements yourself and get
Hmm.
yourself more out there for like search engine optimization, which is very thought provoking because I never thought about like I was super heavy on like Instagram presence, and they were like, no, like a 50-year-old doing a corporate event is not going to be looking for you on Instagram. And I was like,
Yeah, it's very
duh,
true. Yeah,
that duh. So like that was very helpful in me shifting my business model.
got it.
Um looking into some search engine optimization.
Yeah, cool. No, I love it. I love the original model too, like this coffee and conversations. I think that's super cool. Create that experience like on the go.
Yeah,
And like even like here at Parallax, like we've done that before where we do like our after hours events
yeah,
where we'll
yeah,
do like mocktails, coffee inspired mocktails and stuff like
yeah,
that where we'll set some cards aside and do things like that. But I mean like I think it's a really cool. It's like a pseudo speed dating, but just for
yeah,
friends, right?
yeah,
Over
exactly. Yeah,
coffee, and
yeah,
so it's just a different experience, different vibe than
yeah,
the traditional walk in, grab your mobile order, walk out, never talk to anybody. Like
yeah,
that's the whole purpose. At least for
yeah,
us that like love the coffee
yeah,
industry is like we
yeah,
want to like create this culture of community where people can come around and talk with each other and get to know new folks and hear different perspectives,
yeah,
like you said. So I
yeah,
absolutely love that.
yeah.
And then my next question was like, how did you know what to put on your cart? And so it sounds like you were able to just lean on other mobile carts and kind of glean off of like what equipment do I need.
Yeah.
Um, outside of that, like learning how to pour and doing like that, did you have any sort of like mentorship or was it all completely self-taught or just helping other people and shadowing?
Um, completely, mainly self-taught. For me, like, yeah, mainly self-taught. I'm still growing in it, right? Like
Sure.
latte art is definitely like there is no like plateau in that. There's always
Right.
like there's always a new pattern you could learn.
For sure.
A new like technique you could learn. So it's definitely like remaining teachable. Like me not having the experience in a coffee shop, I know that there's a lot for me to learn and there's a lot of growth there. Even
Hmm.
people that are in coffee shops, like you always are learning. There's always something someone else can do that you can't and you could learn from them.
Yeah.
So starting out, I was pretty intimidated by the fact of not being perfecting my latte art. But truthfully, I think if your coffee tastes good, but it doesn't look that great, it's like a burger, right? Like your burger might be messy, but that
Yeah.
first bite might be everything. So
Right.
like I stopped focusing too much on like perfecting my latte art every time. Because at
Hmm.
home, I'm used to being able to like redo it. Like if it's
Sure.
not right, I just can redo it. But if I have a
Right.
customer on the line, I can't.
Yeah. You
Um,
can't make three drinks for the same person because you don't like the way the
no,
tulip came out.
no,
Like it just
no.
doesn't
So
work.
since I'm mobile and most of the time people are either on the go or if you're there, like you want to keep it hot longer,
Yeah.
put a lid on it. It's my concept. Okay. Like
Right.
I will, if you want to see what's underneath, you go right on ahead. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave that to you in a mystery for you.
For sure.
But a lot of mentorship, as far as like as I want to progress in latte art and like try different patterns or different techniques, it is nice to have a community of people that even people slide in my DMs, like, because sometimes I'll do like a pour of the day, like morning coffee. And
Yeah.
like people like, hey, like next time trying like my latest advice was like the second pitcher, like I poured my steamed milk into another pitcher and she's
Hmm.
like, maybe heat it up just a little bit. That way, like it's not going in like to it's like ready.
Cold vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
And I was like, never thought about that. Thanks, man. So
Yeah.
like that was pretty cool. And then as far as like the design of my cart, simple carts, I like found them in looking through different carts and a lot of mobile carts use them.
Hmm.
So and they're pretty simple setup. It's a fully collapsible cart and like you can design. I added certain things. Like I noticed a lot of carts when they didn't have they would have a separate ice bin. And I was like, I would love for my ice to be like accessible on my cart.
Yeah.
So I did a ice chest. I did an ice chest cutout on the top. So like
Okay.
all I gotta do is dump in ice and just scoop it and keep it moving. Instead of
Cool.
having a separate bin.
Yeah.
So that was to like think about. And then I got to the point where I realized that I cannot pick up my machine myself. Like I was confident that if I like bulk I'd be able to like get my weight up and move this machine. Mind you, I have a GS3, so that was never going to be the case. And my
Yeah.
husband warned me of that when I ordered the machine, but I was committed at that point. And then I stumbled upon another coffee cart owner in uh Charleston, South Carolina.
Hmm.
called the Dwelling Coffee,
Okay.
and she had a van that she added a lift table to,
Mm.
the cargo van. And basically, she just wheeled her cart on, and the lift table lifted it up, and then she rolled it out. And I was like, well, A, I don't have a cargo van, and B, I'm not making putting a lift table on it, so or
Right.
lifting on it. So like
Yeah.
this isn't it. But I called my friend and I was telling her about it, and I was like, yeah, man, I wish I could have like a cargo van. I literally have one sitting out of my driveway. I never use it. I said, stop it. Let me use it. She's like, all right, cool. So I use her cargo van now
Okay.
when I have events. Keep my cart on the cargo van so I don't have to, because I don't use it at home. My machine
Sure.
stays on my
Yeah,
car.
you got your own rig. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the cart stays on, and I actually bought a lift table and a ramp. So now I just like load everything into the machine there, and then like whenever I have events, my husband like takes the express machine, put it on the lift table, I ratchet strap it down, and then wheel it onto the thing, and then I have furniture rollers on each end of the GS3. So
Hmm.
when I get to events, I can just roll it off the lift table, put the lift table back up, and then when it's ready to
Nice.
go, put it back. So
Yeah. Super
no,
efficient.
it's super efficient. It's just good enough for me to be able to do things on my own because again, being a wife and a mom, it's like I can't bring my kid to every event, and I can't
Right.
hire someone to watch my kid to
Yeah.
then have my husband help me with an event. So it
Right.
was like, how do we get rid of all of this?
Yeah.
So that worked.
Yeah. Remove the friction. Yeah.
Remove the friction. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, cool. No, I love it. I love the that you wanting to expand into this private scene. Is
Yeah.
there a specific type of event that you're like more interested in doing, like weddings, or maybe doing more like education based stuff? Like, hey, let me teach you how to pour latte art. Let me teach you how to use an espresso machine. Like, what is the goal for this next year as you have a full year under your belt now?
Yeah.
Like, what are the like in an
I
ideal scenario, like where are you headed with these private events?
I would love to do a wedding. I would love to like to party with you on like your best day of your life.
Yeah.
That
Keep you
sounds
wired too. Yeah.
I'd be wired too. I had to dial in this espresso, so I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Unless you choose to do decaf, which
Right.
there's some out there.
Sure.
But I would love to do a wedding. I think that'd be really cool to say that I've, been a part of somebody's special day. I also think I would love to do a baby shower. I think those are cool because a lot of people do them during like brunch hours.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a cool ad. And I would like to do corporate events, but I know that's kind of hard doing them on weekends.
Sure.
So like, corporate, just like I'm off, you're off probably
Right.
too. So it's like that doesn't really work, but I
Hmm.
wouldn't mind it branching out into something like that. I've never thought about how a school event or like I would say school orientated event will work. I have
Hmm.
track meets because those are early. But like most of my events have been indoors, which has been
Sure.
convenient for like power
Yeah,
issues.
totally.
And I don't have a generator, but honestly, I have a cargo van, so if I needed a generator, I have enough.
Right. Yeah.
Or bring one to an event. I just haven't had the need for it yet.
Sure.
So it would definitely, I would love to do something where I can support some teachers or even like a hospital where like a nurse appreciation week or something like that. I think that would be
Yeah.
really but private events of any sort of like anybody doing like a networking event or something like that, because those can take place on weekends.
Sure.
I found open houses to be really cool. I think like being able to like be a part of you envisioning like a new chapter in your life. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Not to say like I'd be super memorable, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like I
Sure.
just this was my house because I walked in, I smelled the coffee like I
Yeah.
made it this morning. I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. I only
Like
want to buy the house if it comes with a coffee cart and a barista waiting for me.
right,
Like,
exactly. Like that's memorable, like goals, right?
yeah,
So I
for
think that
sure.
would be like really dope. Or like I've like a brokers like networking event, like a bunch of like realtors or
Sure.
something like that. Or somebody opening up a new business. So like anything that I could enhance like or be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like what would make it significant for you, I would like to be a part of that.
Cool.
But the exchange events aren't going away. I think out of any events that I pop-ups that I do, that's definitely one to stay.
Sure.
Lake Mumford is like legit feels like home to me. And I just love being able to have that creative freedom with them as far in like
Yeah.
partnership. Like we're thinking about now for like Mother's Day. Like, okay, like can we do like a Mother's Day brunch for the moms there? Or
Hmm.
like, some type of like spring event where maybe like you do a bouquet, like design a bouquet while you get coffee and they provide like brunch. Like we're thinking of things
Yeah.
like that. And
The
I think,
opportunities are endless for this
yeah,
this use case, right? Like you can
yeah,
go literally
exactly.
anywhere, you can work with anybody else, all these other
Yeah,
vendors and
yeah,
smaller
yeah,
artisan people,
yeah.
like it's really cool.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, you've been in business for a year, and I'm sure there it hasn't been without some struggles. Like what's a specific thing that came up in your run up on this year,
Um,
like an over that you had
I
to
think
overcome?
I think for me, finding enjoying the tension of it all. Like I love doing it so much that in the first year I just kept going. Like
Sure.
there wasn't very many breaks for me in
Yeah.
between there. And like just, really enjoying my weekends, but also enjoying what I do. So like going into this year, like that's why I kind of went towards like private events or paid events.
Yeah.
Um, because at least then I'm guaranteed like a specific time frame in like working through things. Like a lot of pop-ups, if you were to do a market, you have a time that you have to be set up by, a time you have to stay till, and then a time that you can actually start leaving.
So yeah, Jada, you've been in business for about a year now,
Yep.
and I'm sure you're not without some challenges as you're
Yeah.
branching into this new venture. Like, can you tell me about a specific situation or an issue that came up in this last year of business that you had to overcome, and kind of how you went about overcoming that?
Power issues is definitely I recently had went to an event and like the power strip that I use, power surge strip that I use was not the machine kept cutting off. Like
Mm,
it was the machine takes up the most amount of power on my entire obviously it's
totally.
better. But
Yeah.
like every time as it was heating up, it heated up the steam boiler, and then when it started heating up the other one, it just shut off every time. Like
Oh
it,
no.
it would shut off, and I like unplug it and plug it back up, and it wouldn't work. So learning that you should have more than one power strip. Thankfully, there was a surge protector. Um, Thankfully, they had extra ones there, so I just did that. But like then we had to adjust like how far the cart could be
Hmm.
because like obviously it could only be but so long. You can't keep
Right.
just having
Yeah. Extension cord after extension cord, you're gonna start
that
a fire.
yeah, so
Yeah.
having backups to things is also good and that's but for me I never thought about having more like connectors or like
Yeah.
replace hoses and stuff like that because like my stuff really stays into like one of our closets downstairs whenever I'm not using it so
Hmm.
it's the first floor so
Yeah.
obviously there's chances with us throwing things in there and throwing things out that like anything could get damaged or like roped up too tight and creates like a crack or something
Sure.
so, that is definitely some roadblocks that I've had personally. It's just been electrical issues, thankfully, and
Yeah.
just thankfully other people had like extra power surge
Hmm.
protectors to um continue to operate. The number of cups, like inventory, being on top of inventory, like because I don't know if people know, but like when you order cups, you order it in bulk. That's the only way you can get it for like good prices.
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, the way that I ordered cups and lids, the lids had 1,000 pieces in it, and the cups only had 500 pieces. So because I thought because I had enough lids for the next event, I
Yeah.
didn't think that I didn't have enough cups. And
Right.
then I went to check and I was like, you don't have enough cups. So like not working in a coffee shop that runs every day,
Sure.
you you know, you
I mean,
probably
we come across that all the time. We've had
what? No way.
delays. Yeah, we had delays recently. It's probably a couple months back, but it was with like all the hurricanes and stuff was crazy because
Yeah.
one of our suppliers I think is in Georgia or something, that where we get our cups from,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get the large size, the 12-ounce hot cups. So I had to go. We were
Ah,
just going to like Food Lion or Costco and just buying
right.
random cups to work
Right.
because it's like I gotta have something to give my customers.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so it
So
it
thank
happens in shops too, for sure.
yeah. Okay, cool. So at least I'm not the only one, but my supplier. Odeco luckily has a warehouse here. And I was just like, bro, I need some cups like yesterday. Is it possible? Like, come get cups. And they're like, yeah, sure, we got you. So like I think also making sure you're sourcing from local places is very helpful as well, especially being a mobile business that doesn't run every day. Because I
Right.
do know a lot of mobile carts that do run every day. They have like shared spaces that they can operate out of.
Sure.
But I don't have that capability. So for me, I should be better at managing my inventory at that point, but I'm also not that great at managing my inventory. I guess year two we'll get better at it. We'll see.
Right.
But having everything local, like I have most of my coffee vendors are local to Charlotte. So I have Broken Compass. I've started trying to use their beans on my cart. I got Night Swim. They're right down the street. So if I'm in a jam with beans, they're in my city. So it's easy for me to
Sure.
get cups, easy to get milk. There's
Yeah.
groceries. So overcoming that, those have been a thing. Those have been it. And I guess, transporting things that you physically cannot carry.
Right.
That is a big challenge, especially trying to be I have no staff, it's just me.
Yeah.
I do have a honorary employee. He's helping with all of my events, like for like efficiency.
Yeah.
But those are the thing. And then when you want to get into bigger events, you have to think about also hiring people at that point. Like hiring one person for a couple hours is feasible, right? Because you're
Hmm.
not paying yourself. But when you get into bigger events with more people, you have to be staffed for more people. Sometimes people have advised multiple carts, and I just don't have the funds to do a whole nother cart.
Sure.
So working around having more people and like finding skilled people, and trusting new people to work your cards. That's a
Right.
whole nother like mind game that I'm working through that
Sure.
I want to stretch myself to bigger events, but also like I have a great network of people, right? But some of these people do coffee full time. So
Sure.
they have their own jobs and their own lives and their own ambitions to go through. And
Right.
then capability of like making sure that like they show up and that you have a backup plan for them not showing up. Like
Yeah.
running a shop, like you have a staff of people, but like at the end of the day, it's you and the other owners that have to show up if no one shows up.
Yeah. We
Um,
are the backfill if
you
nobody
are the
nobody
backfill,
shows. Yeah, for sure.
right? For me, it's if you don't show and you have a big busy event,
Yeah.
like
You're about to be real tired.
I'm about to be real tired. It's gonna be a really terrible event. So
Yeah.
I think my newest hurdle is like finding solid rotations. And also I want to make sure that I have opportunities for people to continuously come back, right? Like
Sure.
one off, I'm pretty sure I could find people for one off, but like I'm a lot of open views core values is community and
Yeah.
community beyond just like the people I serve. I want to build a community with even people that I'm able to like employ for different events. I want you to feel like you can keep coming back. Like we're going to keep fostering
Yeah.
this. My honorary employee, like when I tell him we're having an exchange event, he gets excited because like I love those. I love the questions, and I'm like great because I bounce ideas off of him, and he participates if we're not super busy or everybody's been served. So it's been
Yeah.
really so that's my newest hurdle is like employing people that aren't like really staff, but like temporary staff and
Hmm.
like depending on new people and also like talent, right? Like most of the people that I know in my network have been in coffee. So they're a lot
Sure.
more talented in certain things than I am. And it's like find learning what that balance would look like on a bar. Like
Right.
obviously you can swan it up all day. And I'm just doing like, little tulips. That's as close as I'm getting to like small art. So
Right.
like learning to humble myself that like obviously their art is gonna be better and you just let them do that then the whole time.
Hmm.
And like you really just like manage like learning that new role. I think that's going to be like a new hurdle for me going into the shift for corporate events because I
Got
will
it.
need in that. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
vision. So, I mean, obviously we're growing in year two, but if you had to look like way out, 5 to 10 years, what does OpenView look like for you? Are you expanding into a physical location? Are you looking into like roasting your own beans? starting
Ooh.
multiple carts and doing
Ooh.
like building out this own like what is that long-term vision? Like we call it in one of the communities that I run in, we call it the Mount Everest, right? This goal that
Ooh.
we're going to have to work with multiple people to achieve. Like you can't
Yeah.
climb Mount Everest by yourself. So like
Right.
what is that Mount Everest for you? What is that top of the mountain open view is here? What does that look like for you?
I absolutely love the term Mount Everest. That's dope. I would love it if ideally, like 5 years from now, I found a job that I could probably do either fully remote or like part-time remote,
Mm-hmm.
and I can set myself up at like a shared space where like I have
Okay.
returning like
Yeah.
regulars, you know?
Sure.
Um,
Semi-permanent. Yeah.
Semi-permanent location. Because honestly, realistically, I don't think that I could do at first going into this, obviously I said 2 years I'll do a cart and then I open up my own shop.
Right.
And realistically, like the pressure and the weight of which I'm pretty sure you know, depending on me being dependent, the factor for somebody else's livelihood is too much of a weight that I want to carry. Like it's great
Sure.
for me and it's ambitious for me, but
Yeah.
like I never want to put someone else and myself under the pressure of like having to produce out of like not necessarily necessity, but like out of like either whether you're gonna be able to pay your rent or not, and like
Yep.
me have to feel that.
Sure.
So I think having a semi-permanent location where I can have an established regulars, you know, and still
Yeah.
do the events that I want to, and also have the flexibility of like if for whatever reason I need to take off for a week, I'm able to do that and it won't like hurt anything.
Yeah.
Or if I need someone to fill in, I do have like a regular like employee that can fill in. And I'm not something super crazy where it's like 8 to 5, but like 8 to 2 or
Sure.
like 8 to 1 or something. And then I'm able to still do events on the weekends. If I was ideally, if I had a remote part-time job
Mm-hmm.
where the other half of it could be in consistency within OpenView, that would probably be my ideal situation where I have the best of both worlds. Like
Yeah.
I'm used to stability of my W-2 job, 9 to 5, but like I'm very passionate about expanding OpenView
Sure.
to where I can be consistent but also do more events. And I think a second cart, if that was feasible within that model, I would
Mm-hmm.
love to have a separate second cart. But I definitely want to foster a community where people can just excel at what they're good at. So if
Yeah.
you're like really passionate about managing people, cool. If you're really creative about like syrups, like please design the menu because I'm terrible at it. I can tell you what tastes good, but like the
Sure.
inspiration of looking at an orange and saying like let's do an orange dreamsicle cold brew,
Right.
not happening. Like I'm not gonna stretch myself that way. So like if
Yeah.
you're passionate about that, like let's do that. If you're passionate about event coordinating, like let's get you into that within the open view.
Sure.
But I don't want to like be all the facets of OpenView. I definitely want to open it up to being something that if you're passionate about, I want you to be able to
Yeah.
do that. You want to go to competitions, let's get you in them. Like so,
That's
definitely
huge.
both parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean that's the leadership in the owner seat, right? Where you can
Yeah.
delegate tasks to people, really put them in that space where they're going to thrive, rather than
Yes.
you having to
Yeah.
hold the reins at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Definitely.
yeah, it's not fun for anybody. So
No.
I love
No.
that. I love what you're doing. Super inspiring. If you had like if you were talking to yourself 2 years ago when you had this idea, or you're talking to somebody brand new that wants to start their own cart, like what's the biggest piece of advice that you would get to somebody that wants to get started in this space?
I'd say pace yourself. Like enjoy your journey. I feel like for me, I was definitely like, I gotta get it out there, gotta get my name out there, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And like I gotta be the best at latte art. I gotta be the best at like making a pour over. I gotta in order to start.
Right.
And honestly, like learning along the way has been the most beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And also like having the right support people along the way. I think shared experiences are great. Like working on other people's cart was great. Like
Yeah.
obviously no one learned anything new about OpenView, but I learned something new about working a cart. And also I learned networking capabilities, right? Like now
Yeah.
she's my passion, my drive, like my work ethic, like if she can't do an event, which has happened, she was
Mm-hmm.
able to pass it on to me.
Yeah, because
So
she trusts you. She knows that
yeah,
you can do what's
right,
necessary. So
exactly. So
yeah.
and like pace yourself, like the opportunities are good. The right opportunities for you will show up. Like,
Hmm.
don't rush into them, and like always take an opportunity to like learn from other people and network.
Yeah,
But don't your journey because you have other responsibilities or roles is not going to look like somebody that is straight out of college and doesn't have any responsibility or roles. Like they
totally.
might be able to go full force into it, and, unlike you. And I think that's something I had to learn as well. Like I just have way too many other commitments, and I got to figure out how to enjoy the tension of it all, or otherwise,
Yeah,
like something would have to give. So I definitely think and trust your own pace and enjoy your own journey.
love it. That's awesome. Well, Jada, thanks so much for sharing your journey.
Rob,
Really
thank you for having
appreciate
me,
it.
man. I love what
Absolutely.
you're doing here. I love the exposure you're doing beyond like properties. I know that's your bread and butter, but like I appreciate you expanding and just your entrepreneurship in general.
Right,
That's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. No, so if somebody wanted to reach out to you and either book you for a private event or maybe just pick your brain and kind of learn from you on your experience, like where can they reach out to you?
Always open to slide in my DMs on Instagram, always on there, open view underscore coffee. And then also my webpage, if you want to book me on an event, Open View Coffee, there's a book here tab. So just hit on the section. We're using Insta quotes right now, so it's easy for you to put in all your information. We should get a quote to you within 24 hours. So definitely reach out there. And then, if you ever see me in a coffee shop, I'm always at a local one. Feel free to reach out.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks again, Jada, for your time.
No
Thank you
problem.
guys for
Thanks, Adam.
watching. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Have a good
Um,
night.
Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until the next one, we will catch you later. Peace.